Welcome, welcome to the Self-Care Sanctuary. I am your host, Sharon Terry, licensed professional counselor out of good old Texas. This episode is brought to you by Purple Rain Counseling. My special guest, please help me welcome Sanctuary. Help me welcome Monica Williams, the face of change and the voice of power, in addition to being my favorite girl and my friend, my cousin, and Monica, welcome,
Thank
welcome to the
you. Thanks for having
sanctuary.
me.
Thank you so much for coming back and gracing us with your presence. I'm so excited to have you. We today are going to be talking about the weight that so easily besets us. Like the Bible says, lay aside every weight that easily besets us. And, as long as we're going to be living, we are going to be heavily burdened with one thing or another. In your career, you're a master social worker, you are, a best-selling author. You've worked with women through your organization that you founded called the Women of Truth. I had the pleasure of working with you with so many women that came in, talked to us about the things that, were weighing them down, things that we've even had women that came in and said, I'm just gonna say this, I'm gonna leave it here, and then I ain't saying it no more. Or they never even came back. We had a lot of women who just came and just kind of got that burden off of them, right? They shared
Mhm.
things with us that they had never shared with anyone else. And now we're in a place where we are trying our best to keep our head above water. We're trying to manage our families. We're trying to manage our careers, right? We've got an election coming up. We don't know the state of what our environment, our country is going to be in. We are weighted down by that as well. Also, with your position that you currently work in, with helping people at their end of life stages with their families. That's a burden, losing people. So there's so many things that we are burdened with. Not to mention that's all of the current stuff.
Current stuff, yes.
That's the current stuff. That's not even to say anything about all of the weight from the baggage that we're carrying from our past stuff,
Mhm.
right? The things that happened through our old relationships or growing up in our childhood.
Hmm. And
So you got
that's
that
what we're
on
going to
one
talk about.
end.
Right. That's what I said. That's where the real weight comes from.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the weight of all of these things clamoring at our attention. And sometimes, quite honestly, we cannot manage the weight that is in our present
Hmm.
because of the weight that's in our past.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Talk
Absolutely.
to us a little bit about the experiences or the things that, you know, women have shared with you about carrying these burdens from the past.
So, as you know, we have had many meetings with women, events. We've had book clubs. Like we've been doing this for a long time. I mean, I want to say we have been doing this for probably 30 years. Like that's literally how long we've been at this. Um,
Mhm.
and I was just speaking to someone that's funny you asked me that because I was speaking to someone yesterday and I said, I can go way back to my childhood when I was a teenager, like 13 years old, right? And women, not 13-year-olds, but women 19 and 20 and 21 years old, like talking to me about their problems and their issues as if I had the answers for them, you know. But because this call has always been on my life to minister to women from, I guess, all walks of life, it didn't have a it was going to start, you know. And so I have always been like that ear for people to, you
Mhm.
know, to talk to, and that shoulder for people to lean on and cry on. Like I've always been that, but I never understood what it meant or what it was for. And I
Right.
remember my mom saying to me, at a very young age, she was like, "You need to be a counselor." You know, every time I turn around, somebody, some woman, some girl calling you, asking you for advice, whatever, whatever, whatever. You always on the phone talking to somebody, giving them advice about this or advice about that. You should be a counselor. Well, of course, at 14, 15 years old, at that time, I'm like, I don't know what she mean by that. You know, I just know that females are calling me. I'm talking to them. We're talking, you know, I'm giving advice, the best advice I could give at that time with the limited knowledge that I had. But they trusted me with their truths. They trusted me with their secrets. They trusted me to be honest, to be open to them and with them. And that's why they would come to me. And this went on throughout my life. And here I am, you know, coming from, you know, transitioning from being a teenager to a young adult. And it's still happening. It was like a magnet, you know, where women just from the east, the west, the north, the south, from any and everywhere would just talk to me. I could be out somewhere and spark up a conversation. And women would say to me, like, can't believe I'm telling you this. Like, I've never told anybody this before in my life. And I'm thinking, I can't believe you're telling me this either because you just met me, you know.
Right.
But they felt it was the comfort that they felt, you know, from me to be able to open up and share. So it's been a lifelong journey for me to really just minister to women on, you know, on any type of, I guess, issues, problems or challenges or circumstances, situations, like whatever it is they was dealing with or going through. I just seem to have always been that ram in the bush for them. You know, unbeknownst to me, I was following a call that I didn't even know I had, you know, at
Yeah.
that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that, but you know, like the Bible says, you know, before you was conceived in the womb, you know, God knew you. You know, God had already anointed me and appointed me and set me apart and set me aside for such a time as where I am now. Like he already knew what my purpose was and what my, you know, the plan that he had for my life. Like he already knew that. I just didn't. I had to catch up with the plan, you know. And now that I am, I can't escape it. I've tried to hide and run and duck and dodge from it, but it still finds me, you know. And
Absolutely.
yeah, you know, it finds me. I am. And so now I have really 100% embraced that God has called me to be that face of change and that voice of power to so many women, to share everything that I've gone through, that he brought me through. He allowed those things to happen in my life, into my life, and for my life, so that I can be again that face of change and the voice of power to other women so that they can come through what it is that I've come through, that he's gotten me through. And so what I've gone through was not just for me, but it was for so many countless women like me. Like I always say, my brand is I am that Monica. Which Monica are you? Like he allowed me to be in this place, to be able to help all the Monicas out there. Because there are hundreds and thousands and millions of Monicas out there, you know, and I am to help them get to that place of being on that healing journey because you're constantly healing through all the weight that we have been carrying around that started at age 5 for some of us, you know, 6,
Mm-hmm.
7, 8, 10, whatever, whenever the age was where that weight was placed on us, you know, and it weighed us down in that moment. And then more weight kept coming and more weight kept coming. But think about all the weight that kept piling up. It was never dealt with.
Right.
It was never dealt with. So here we are, you know, I am that Monica brand. And now I get to engage with all the other Monicas out there.
That
So,
is so powerful. Especially, I was just thinking about when you had said, your mother used to say you should be a counselor. And I just remember her saying how, you were just like a little old lady. And the thought came to me like you were like a 7-year-old grandma. Right? With that knowledge. And unfortunately, like life grows us up fast sometimes.
mhm.
So you would have loved to be in Princess Land with, playing dolls and just having a child's knowledge, but it didn't happen that way. So life happens, and we either got to adapt, right? We got to learn how to survive, or as they say, sink or swim. And because of the things that you have, endured and overcome,
Mm,
now you can say, yes, I am the face of change. I remember when I first heard you say that, I thought, oh my God, that is so appropriate because
mm.
you are face of change, right? All of the things that you've had to overcome, looking at you, seeing the changes, the metamorphosis, right? Watching
Mm,
you become this butterfly,
mm,
right? And that face of change matched with, it's not just the face of change, but
mm,
the
mm,
voice that you have now
mm,
that you didn't have then.
mm.
And not only having that voice, but knowing how to use it.
Oh my
Number
God.
one, for your own freedom, and that voice of power to break the chains of everybody else so that
Mm,
they can be free, right?
ab-
Voice of power, being the advocate for those who may not be able to advocate for themselves, right?
mhm,
That is so powerful. And when I look at you, I think about what it is to um be a conqueror,
mm.
right? To be that person, like in the Bible it says that we overcame by what? The word of our testimony and the blood of the
Testimony.
Lamb. And you are definitely covered by that. I mean, we look, I ain't gonna have church,
Yeah.
but but when I say, you know, the fact that you are doing and walking and being in your calling right now, I was sharing with someone how when we were younger and we would talk about these things, and how now we're walking in it. We didn't know how we were going to unburden ourselves with all of the weight that we carried around. And
Mm,
one of the things that I just had a client earlier today, and she was talking about how she loves coming to therapy because that is a place where she gets to unburden. She gets to
absolutely.
lay aside her weight. She gets to unpack all of that baggage that she's been carrying around with her all these years, right? And, you have been that person before you became a professional, that person that people have been able to unburden, right? To
Mm,
lighten their load. You've been that safe place for
mm.
so many people. And that's why you're a magnet, right? Because you are a safe place for so many people where they can't do or say that to anyone else, strangers, and they come up to you, and because it's like your light shines, and people are attracted to the light,
Mhm. Mm.
right? So with that being said, I know that you have this women's brunch coming up called The Wait is Over. And not the WAIT, that
Mm.
too, but the wait is
Mm.
over. Talk to
Mhm.
me about it.
So the purpose for even having the women's brunch is to be able to bring women from all walks of life in a room so that we can heal together, right? That's my sole purpose, is to get women together for healing, because a
Mhm.
lot of us are walking around unhealed and we don't even,
Yes.
we can't explain why we explode. We can't explain why we don't have patience. We can't explain why we're short tempered. We can't explain why we just keep getting, into these, toxic relationships and being drawn into places that we don't have no business being in, or with people that we shouldn't be. Like, we can't even explain a lot of what takes place in our lives. So again, my sole purpose is to get women in a room to heal, to start
Mhm.
the process. Number one, to recognize it. You know,
Mhm.
we don't know where it started, where it came from. And I'm a root type of person. Like, yeah, we can deal with the surface things and put a band-aid on stuff, right? That's easy, it's simple, and it's comfortable. But when you dig deeper, the deeper you go, the more difficult and the more challenging it's going to become,
For
because now
sure.
you got to go to a place that you tried to bury. You got to go to a place that you tried to hide, you tried to cover up, that you didn't want nobody to know about. So you got to go back to that place, that little girl. You got to go back to her, right? Because that's where a lot of it started from, right? Um, and it is to, so that we can be vulnerable around each other and show our weaknesses and our authenticity. Healing is bound to happen when we're in the room together. Trust me, it is going to happen. It's going to take place. And that's why I believe a lot of women are afraid sometimes to come to some of the events that we have or have had, because they are not ready to
That part.
unveil themselves. And it's
Mhm.
okay. But sometimes being in the room, you're not obligated to speak or to talk or to open up if you don't want to. But sometimes being in the room can cause some healing without you even having to open your mouth. So some people think, if I go to something or if I be a part of something, I'm going to have to open up. I'm going to have to share. I'm going to have to do something. And you don't. You just got to be there, because guess what? The power is going to reach you. Wherever you are in the room, you're going to be with the power that's going to be in the room. And all it takes is for one person, one sister, to get up. And we've seen it happen where someone got up and shared something, and it gave the next woman strength and courage to do it too. Like, oh my gosh, thank you for saying that. I thought I was the only one. I wasn't going to say anything, but because you did, now I
Mhm.
feel led to share my story, or my trauma, or what I'm going through, or what I've been through. So
Mhm.
it's so much, it's power. Women don't realize the power that we have together. And it's not just about having a good meal, for the brunch that we're going to have, but
Mhm.
learning how to have a good life. Yeah, a good meal is nice. We love some good food, but let's learn how to have a good life, right? And other women, we need to see other women as helpers, and not haters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to know that we can help each other, heal each other, and not only hate, and not just hate on each other. Because we got a
Right.
lot of that, and we don't need that, right? We need to experience sisterhood instead of falsehood. Falsehood that women get along, that's not true. We can, but the reason why some of us don't get along is because of all the weight and all the baggage that we are carrying around, that we haven't dropped off anywhere, that we haven't gotten rid of. It's just piling up, and it's causing us to have anxiety and all the other stuff that, we're dealing with rejection. We're dealing with not feeling loved, not feeling wanted, not feeling needed, not feeling necessary. It's so many things that we are carrying around. And so we look like we are women who with attitudes, but it's not always an attitude. It's hurt. It's
Yeah,
hurt, right? And
right.
so, yeah, it's hurting. So women can get along, like I said, and communicate effectively and lift and build each other up instead of clawing and tearing each other down or apart. That's the purpose for the brunch, to show an abundance of love to women who look like you, who look like me. And the thing about it is that look is pain. I'm not the only woman that's in pain. You are too. I'm not the only woman that has guilt. You do too. I'm not the only woman who's walking around feeling shameful. You do too. That feels lonely, that has trauma, that has gone through rejection or depression or anxiety. I do. You look just like me. It's not about looking like each other because we both got, bald heads or long hair or weave or the MAC makeup, or we both got the same designer clothes or designer person. Not that look.
Right.
The look that people can't see that's on the inside. You look like me and I look like you, right? And
Right.
so we mirror each other. And in that room, we all will be able and allowed to see each other and not feel alone in our struggles and in our challenges. That is the purpose for the brunch. Yes, having a good meal is going to be amazing. Eating some good food and connecting with each other is going to be so awesome. But we are coming together because we need to leave lighter.
We definitely need to leave lighter. And the fact of the matter is, women need women, period.
Mhm.
I need
Say it
you,
again,
you
because you
need
had got
me.
cut off. Say it again.
Women need women.
Absolutely.
We need to share our experiences, like you said, because a lot of time we become isolated. We think, oh, I'm the only one, or I gotta be strong, I gotta keep up this image, like I got it all together, because God forbid if I show any weakness at all, right? And when you were just sharing what you aim to do for the purpose of your brunch, the wait is over, the thought came to me. Then this is the tricky part, because you mentioned how some women don't come to these functions because they're not ready. And they're not ready because this weight from the past, the things that even now their current lives, it becomes like a weighted blanket.
Mm, mm. Whew.
A blanket that, even though it's heavy, it's keeping me warm.
Mm, mm,
It's
mm,
I'm comfortable with it.
mm.
I like this weight. This is what I'm used to. So I know how to function. I know how to wrap. I know which way to wrap this blanket around me so that I can function. I know at night, right? When I get finished going through my day, I'm going to come home and I'm going to put this weighted blanket on.
Mm.
The weighted blanket is, I'm going to lay there and I'm going to think about all of the things that happened to me, all of the things that, I have to deal with. I'm going to lay there and think about all of the work issues that I've had, or I'm going to lay there under this weighted blanket and I'm going to suffer
Mm.
by myself, even if it's somebody laying next to me.
There's somebody laying next to me. Mm.
I'm going to suffer underneath this blanket because, number one, I'm used to it.
Mm.
Number two, I've gotten comfortable with this weight, right? Because I'm learning how to function, right? I can turn, I can toss with this blanket over me. But not only that, this blanket covers things that I don't want other people to see.
We. Mm-mm-mm.
Right? I'm hiding under this blanket.
Mm-mm-mm. And that's why a lot of need to be busy.
Yes.
A lot of women need to be busy. A lot of women need to have control, need
Mm-hmm.
to have titles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women, this is not all. So hear me when I say this. I'm not talking if the shoe don't fit, then don't wear it, right?
Don't wear it.
This is for the women who know who I'm talking about. You got women who need power, they need titles, right? They need control. Because with that, they don't have to deal with the things that the blanket is covering. You don't have to deal with the weighted stuff that's behind the blanket, that's under the blanket. You don't have to deal with it, right? Because you feel empowered with your title. You
Right.
feel empowered with your control. You
Yeah.
feel all of the accolades, you know, and the validation that you're seeking, that you need. Because if you don't get it, you're gonna fall apart. You're gonna fall apart if you don't get the attention or the validation or have the control that you need to feel important so that you're not having to deal with the weight that's literally weighing you down that can't nobody see or don't nobody know about but you, right? And
Right.
like you said, even sometimes with the person laying right next to you, they don't even know, you know.
Right.
Or I realized, as I said, a lot of women, they don't really want to deal with the real issues
This is work.
that's weighing them down. Yes, it's work. And so they need that they need to be what is it, the manager at the supervisor at their job, right? They need to have a position in church, right? They need to have 5,000 degrees. You see what I'm saying? You don't got the highest degree that you can get, but yet you're gonna get 5 more of the same one you got. You see what I'm saying? You gotta look important. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You
Your
gotta look.
identity. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's wrapped up in those letters, either in front of your name or behind your name. How do I know? Because I was that person. You know, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel now, granted, I want to go back to school because I always wanted to be a social worker. Absolutely, right? But I realized something that I didn't realize was I wanted to feel like I belonged in a world I never felt like I belonged in.
Yes. The validation.
Believe I needed the validation. And I believe going to school, right? Not only did I go and get an associate's degree, but then I went and got a bachelor's degree, and then I went and got a master's degree, right? I did that because that made me feel it made me feel like I belonged. It made me feel like I was in a category with people who would see me because otherwise they wouldn't. Do you see what I'm saying? But you got to be honest with yourself to know. Now, did I want those things? Absolutely. I did. I did want to go to school because I always wanted to be a social worker. You know, I always
Mhm.
wanted to help people, which I was doing anyway, but I couldn't do it without the actual um tools. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I just realized one day I was like, you did all of this, even with the car. You know what I mean? With the cars I drive. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm telling you, the things that I've done in my life, yes, I wanted to do those things because I wanted to do them. But then when I realized why I wanted to do it, so it's
Mhm.
not that I didn't want to do it, but when I
Mhm.
realized why I wanted to do it, it's all part of my trauma. It was
Yeah.
all part of my trauma, right? It was all part of needing to feel important and loved and wanted and needed and necessary and needed to be noticed, right? I
Worthy.
needed that, needed to feel worthy. And so stuff material things made people see me different, made people look at me different. You see what I'm saying? If I would have been driving, and hear me when I say this, I ain't saying anything wrong with it. But if I was driving a Nissan Sentra, it just was a Nissan Sentra.
Right.
But I'm driving a Lexus. It's like, oh, look at her.
Stag.
And then ladies, oh, look at her. Having an apartment, I'm just saying, in the city, right? You know, where I had to walk up 3 or 4 flights of stairs. It's like, But living a luxury apartment, you're like, ooh, girl, luxury. Ooh, you got it going. What? You got a club? What? Go. See, you said, I'm just giving examples. Right?
Yeah, because that is a weight. That is a weight that people carry around. The weight of needing external validation.
And I'm gonna tell you, and it's so prevalent in the church. It's so prevalent in the church. You don't feel good enough just to be in the congregation as a member. You gotta work your way up to being almost the pastors. What do they call it? Armor bearer, or whatever you call it. You
right,
gotta
armor bearers.
You gotta have a title in order to feel important, and that's because other than that, don't nobody like me. Don't nobody recognize me, notice me. Don't nobody care nothing about me. That is a weight.
For sure.
Okay, that is a weight, a validation weight.
Yes.
To feel important by the things that you have, because other than that, you feel like nobody's gonna notice me. Nobody. If people really knew who I was, would they really like me? So who am I showing up for? I'm showing up for what people want to see.
For sure.
That's what people like. That's what people grab to. That's where I get my power. That's where I get my control. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it could be the furthest person from you.
It's the furthest person from you. And that's why a lot of people don't tell their truth. They live their lie. They won't tell their truth. That's uncomfortable. But they're comfortable living their lie. And when you live a lie, you got to keep up the lie. That's a weight. That's why this much is important. So that you can learn the different weights. See, it ain't just the physical weight that we carrying around.
It's emotional.
It's emotional.
It's spiritual.
It's spiritual. It's financial. It's so much weight. People think you loaded. People think you just got money because every time you turn around, you here, you there, you this, you that. You got this on, that on. Oh my gosh, it's like, oh, she definitely. But you don't know they're in a negative with everything. You don't know they living off credit cards. That's a weight.
A huge one.
They living off credit cards. They in credit card debt, but they look like
living their best life.
They living their best life, and you got to know to talk about something. You wish you had what they had. You wish you was them. That's a weight too. There's so many different weights that we are carrying around that's weighing us down, and we wonder why we depressed. Why we
the comparison.
Yes. And let me tell you something. The people are more jealous of you being real because they can't be. People are more jealous of you being real because they can't be.
Right. Ooh. They can't be because they don't know who they are.
They don't know who they are because they trying to be like you, and you.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was like, I just want to know how to be a woman, and how, and I just don't know who I am. I don't know who I am anymore. Why? Because you have, with every partner, with every relationship, you've gone on and you've taken on the burden, the weight of being what you think they want you to be, so that you can have this relationship. So you have shape shifted so much until you don't even know who you were originally created to be.
She
You don't
is
know
so
whether you're
far
supposed
apart.
to be. You don't
Right.
know. You don't
She is
even know
so far
what your
apart
true
from
shape
there.
is.
Yeah. So far apart from her true identity. So
Exactly.
far apart. You wouldn't even recognize her.
She wouldn't even recognize her.
That's what I'm saying. Well, yeah, the
Yeah.
person you would look yourself and be like, who are you?
Who are
I
you?
don't even recognize who are you when you can look yourself in the mirror and don't even recognize the person that's staring back at you
Hello, I've been there.
because
I've
you
done
are
that.
wrapped up in everybody else's identity but your own. It's
You don't even know. And
weight.
especially like when you were saying, with the church, because there's so many different layers that you want to please God, but you're trying to please these people because they got you thinking that you pleasing God, because they're using God to exploit. But you know what? That's another whole
That's a right, girl.
that's another whole thing. But
Even though that's the weight, even though that's considered a
that is
weight.
a weight, but
But
that's a
that's like a
topic
whole, yes, that's a topic all
by
by
itself.
itself.
But I want to talk about, all of these weights that we've talked about. And sometimes people will say, I don't even know, like my client, I don't even know where to begin. So one of the things that we do, I'm just going to list like maybe 5 things, right?
Mhm.
Some of these things that, you guys will be able to learn more about when you go to the brunch, the women's brunch, and we're going to get into when and how much and all of that. But I want you guys to think about this here. Once you identify the main thing, the thing that is the absolute heaviest, I want you to ask yourself these things. Number 1, does it drain you? Right? Is this relationship or is this job or is what I'm thinking about what's keeping me up at night, right? Is this blanket, am I suffocating? All right. Ask yourself, how am I feeling? Right? Is this relationship, job, whatever, is it a faucet? Right? Is it giving me life? Is it giving me water? Right? Or is this something that's a drain? Everything I got just going down the drain, going down, right? Is
My
it
God.
is it something that's zapping, draining the life out of me? So
Mm.
is it life-giving, a faucet, or is it a drain, taking the life out of me? Right?
My God. Mm.
Then ask yourself, does it bring me down, my mood? Right? You talking to somebody, like when we talk, we pumped afterwards, right?
That's like just like now. We was like, okay. In my mind, I'm like, okay, we got because this is how we get. Like, you got to be around people that make what's inside of you leap.
Leap.
Like Mary and Martha. You
Okay.
know, Mary was carrying Jesus and Martha John, and it's like they knew that they was carrying something that was so needed and necessary in this world, and that was going to change the trajectory of everybody's life. And when they got together, what they had on the inside
Left.
made them leap. You see what I'm saying? You got to be
Right.
around people that make what's inside of you, what's called your baby, leap.
Right. Is it stirring up anything in
It's
you?
just stirring up, and I'm talking about something good.
Right. Because if it's stirring up some stuff that look like trash, then you know that is a drain.
That's a
Okay? It's a drain. It ain't giving you no kind of life. Or if it's giving water, it's muddy. And you don't want that. Right? So think about the how you're feeling emotion. Are you feeling down? Are you feeling heavier? Right? Because some people just want to dump on you and you don't have to deal with that. But are you feeling down? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling like, oh my God, I need a drink? What are you feeling
Not a
after?
drink of juice.
Not a drink of juice, okay? And the third thing is, does it make you feel bad physically? Do you have a headache afterwards? Do you feel like your heart is racing? Are you actually like tearing up every time? Don't get me wrong, because there will be times when we're supporting each other in our friendship. There's been a many a day that we have cried and, we have had to hold each other's pain. That's
Absolutely.
something different, right? We're holding that pain or helping each other through it so we both can live, so we both can thrive, right? So
Absolutely.
we're being drained, faucets, not drains. You see what I mean? And then checking in with your body. That's for any situation. That's God's way of letting us know if something is good for us or bad for us. If we just check in with how our body is feeling, because our gut will tell us. You'll get
Absolutely.
that sick feeling, or your throat may tighten, you may get sweaty, but that's gonna let you know how you're feeling, right? Because even when we're excited, we might get these excited feelings and it may be similar, but the difference between something that is good for you, when you get that gut feeling, number one, you're gonna have peace. Even if the situation is crazy, even if it looked like, oh man, I can't believe this is what I'm about to do, but I feel in my gut like I got a peace about it, right? Like this is something that I need to do. But so then it's time. That's my guiding light. It's like, am I feeling peace about it? Or am I feeling like my heart's racing? I feel like I'm in chaos. I don't know if I'm going right, left. Like if there's this chaotic feeling, right, where there's a lot of confusion, no, don't do anything until you feel a sense of peace that will guide you, right? Does it hold you back? This is the other thing when we're talking about the things that you are trying to let go of, what you want to determine what's really weighing you down. Does whatever it is hold you back from moving forward? Is this weight so heavy that you can't move? You can only function in that discomfort, because anything else, you don't know what to do. You moving forward is like, some people say that statement, well, this is the devil I know, so I'd rather deal with that, instead of saying, devil, I ain't dealing with you at all.
Right.
I'm moving
I ain't
on.
just right.
Right? So if it's holding you back from something that you know that is a possibility, that there's so much more, which it always is, it's so much more, so much that is waiting for you once you unburden yourself, once you unpack all of this weight, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And lastly, ask yourself, is this sending you in the direction that you want to go in? Is this thing that is weighing me down, is this something that is keeping me, again, tying into moving forward? Does it send me in the direction that I want to go in? Like, even though I might can't be in that right now, but is this something that is either draining me with the life force that I need to even create and do what I feel is moving me in the direction of my dreams, my aspirations, or is this something that's taking me down a path that I know is not for me? Like, for example, is this something that's causing me to want to drink a lot? Are these weights?
You gotta say that again because you got cut off.
I was saying, is this something that makes me want to drink a lot?
Okay.
Is
Mhm.
this something that's making me eat a lot?
Mhm. Mm.
Because you said the weight, weight. A
Mhm.
lot of us have extra physical weight
Mm.
because of the internal weights.
Because of the internal weights. Yes.
We're eating our emotions. We're fattening up. Like a lot of people who have experienced childhood assault of any kind, they tend to pad themselves for especially sexual assault. They pad themselves so they eat a lot so that they can gain weight and so that they will make themselves undesirable, right?
Mm.
That's another weight. You ain't going a lot of places if you're too heavy to even carry yourself physically.
And you said a lot of women do that to make themselves undesirable.
Yes.
Hmm.
The weight is their padding. Because
Mm.
if I make myself be overweight or undesirable, people won't want to touch me,
Mm.
right? They won't want to, you know, it's a protective factor, making themselves look less desirable, right?
Mm.
Um, so those are the things that you want to think about, right? Does it drain you? Does it bring you down? Does it make you feel bad? Does it hold you back from moving forward? And does it send you in a direction that you don't want to go into? If it's those things, then that is a weight that needs to be lifted. As you said, that weight is over. It can be
Yeah.
over for so many of our listeners who come into the sanctuary, the women who will be attending the brunch, they will be lifted, encouraged, unburdened by the things that you and your guests will be sharing. So let's talk a little bit more about the women's brunch. First of all, who will be on the panel? I know there's going to be you and you have another speaker there who isn't with us today, but just tell us about who that will be.
So, of course, yes, I will be one of the speakers. We're going to have two other speakers. One of the speakers, the ladies, but the thing about this punch is we're going to have a lot of new women who that's going to be there. So
Okay.
it's going to be for the first time that they ever heard Miss Bertha Dandridge White, and I hope I'm saying her name correct.
Yes. Powerful.
White, speak. She's going to be talking about the weight.
I think you froze.
Hold on one second. I don't even know what happened. Can you hear me still?
Yes, I can hear you and see you.
Okay. Something happened with the internet, girl. It just seemed like it just knocked me right on out. Sorry about that.
No worries.
But she's going to be talking about each person, each speaker is going to be talking about the weight being over in different areas of our lives. We have Melissa Lambert, who's going to be coming in from Florida, and she's going to be talking about the financial weight, which we know that that is another weight that we carry around. So I don't even want to give it away too much,
Right.
but she's coming from the financial weight. Miss Bertha is going to be coming from the weight that we mentally carry around that's in our head, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to be coming from so many different levels of weight and how to get rid of the weight and where the weight initially started from. And we are going to drop that weight right there at that venue. We are not taking it back. And even if we take a little bit with us, we ain't going to take all the weight with us. Because
You're
some of
gonna
the
be lighter.
you're definitely going to be lighter. And some of the weight you're going to drop along the way.
Yes.
Know what I
Yes.
mean? You're going to drop
Mm-hmm.
some of the weight along the way. There's some weight that I've gotten rid of, but there's a whole lot of weight that I still need to drop, but it's falling off. So every step you take forward, you're dropping off the dead weight.
I
You're
love that.
dropping off the dead weight, but you only way to drop it off is that you got to move forward. Every step backwards keeps the weight on, and sometimes you pick up extra weight. So whatever we do from October 19th moving forward, even if all the weight don't come off, which I doubt if it does in that moment, but you got to keep moving forward to continue to drop off the burden of the weight that we have been carrying around.
Yes, so I love that. I mean, you guys are going to be tackling it from all aspects of the whole woman, right? So
Absolutely.
let us know when it is, how they can register, the cost. Give us all the deets.
So the date of the event is October 19th, which is next Saturday.
Woo!
Came really fast. It's from 1 to 5. All of the information is on my website. So the location, the register is $55. You go on the website, iamthatmonica.com. I'm going to repeat it. iamthatmonica.com. That's my website. All the information is there. I've been telling people, don't just register for yourself, but bring a good girlfriend. We all got a good friend. We have a sister. We have a neighbor. We have a church friend. We have someone in the community. We have a coworker. We have someone other than ourselves that we know could benefit from this brunch. I have weight. The person that's registering have weight, and you know some other woman who is carrying around some weight as well. Why? How do I know? Because y'all talk about it with each other. So you tell her, come on, girl, let's go to this brunch. Guess what the title is? The wait is over. The wait that you and I've been talking about every single day, or for the majority of our lives, we can attend a brunch together to learn how to get rid of the weight. And not only to learn how to get rid of the weight, but to learn what the weight is.
That part, identifying what the weight
You
is.
identify what the weight is, because sometimes we just don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. But it's
Right.
time that we learn. Okay? It's time
Yes.
that we learn. So I am
That
so
is
excited about it.
amazing.
Yes.
I'm excited for you. Now, listen, we do have listeners, I can say, all around the world. We do have the self-care sanctuary is worldwide. I might as well own it. But
Own it.
yes, I'm owning it. So, with that being said, let us know the state, the city, state that you're going to be having the women's brunch.
So it's in Moncton, Maryland. The reason why I didn't say it, because some people are like, what is Moncton, Maryland? That's why I want everybody to go to the website. It's 510 Moncton Road in Moncton, Maryland. You go to the website, you will have all of the information, anything that you need to know about the brunch, the location. And I think it even would have like a map or something that you can follow. But all of the information will be there if you go to the website. I'm going to say it again. iamthatmonica.com. I am meaning am that THAT Monica MONICA all together .com. Go to the website. It's all there. I extended the registration. It ended on the 4th, but I extended it until Saturday the 12th. So you still have time. Again, don't just come alone. Bring a sister. We can grab our friends and our sisters and a group of ladies to go to parties and go out, to wherever we want to meet up. Hey, let's go out and do this. Let's go out and have a drink, or let's go out and meet this person or that person, or let's do this or do that. Bring them to this brunch. Gather those same women and bring them to the brunch with you. You do not want to miss it. Trust me, you do not want to miss it. Our last brunch was in May, and it was titled, I Am More Than Good Enough.
It was
We are
amazing.
we're not just good enough, but we are more than good enough, because good enough just ain't enough. So we are more than good enough. That was so awesome. I mean, my gosh, call each other sister DARs. You would not know what that means unless you was there. But that is an acronym, DAR, and that stood for, the D means detach, the A means attach, and the R means realign. But we broke that thing down on so many different levels, and that's why we know that we are sister DARs. So I do not want you missed May. I don't want you to miss the one next week. Be in the building, ladies. Be in the
Yes. Jess, you owe it to yourself. You can make it
Yes.
a self-care Saturday, right? And make a day trip out of it, ladies. All of those who are in the neighboring states, whether drive down from New York, Delaware, drive up from Virginia, make a whole day of it. Philadelphia, all my listeners there in those neighboring states. Hey, grab some of your girls. Let's go. Let's find out how to get rid of some of this weight. You can go to, as she said, iamthatmonica.com to get all of the information. It's located in Moncton, Maryland. Registration, as she said, is still open until October 12th. Monica, before we go, I just want to ask you, what would you like to leave the ladies with, the final thought?
I would like to leave the ladies with this. Just as I am the face of change and the voice of power, you too can be the face of change and the voice of power. It takes a village to raise children. They say it all the time. And it's going to take a bunch of healed women to change the world,
Yes.
to change the community, to change our children's lives, to change the lives of our community, to change how we show up. It's going to take all of us to be the voice of power in the face of change. That's what I
Amen,
want to leave with you.
Amen, Sister Dar. Well, I
Right.
would like to leave all of my listeners, the saints that have come into the sanctuary. First, I want to just say thank you for coming in. Thank you to my international listeners in Canada and Russia, Japan, Germany, Philippines, and all the ones that I can't say right now because I can't remember everybody. But you are definitely appreciated. Keep coming back. And remember that self-care is not an option. It's necessary. And when you learn to love yourself, it really won't matter who doesn't. Again, thank you for joining us. Have a good night.
See ya.
Bye.